President Trump has come right out and said that some of his punishment of Colorado is due to our mail-in ballots, which he claims are rigged. And now he's talking about seizing control of elections from blue states across the country. Trump said this week that he wants Republicans to take over elections in select states. He talked about the federal government nationalizing elections. Today, MAGA advisor Steve Bannon called for the Army and ICE to be deployed to polling places. Our Marshall Zellinger looks at the clear goal here.
I don't think they'd give two shits about violating federal law to get after their own aim.
Tell us what you really think, Matt Crane. The head of the Colorado County Clerks Association, a Republican himself, Crane is vocal in his opposition against President Trump, saying this.
The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Let's face it, what they want to do is suppress voter turnout amongst all groups. That's the goal here, right?
Crane is among the rare Republicans pushing back on the push to give the federal government more power over state-run elections. Steve Bannon, the MAGA advisor for Trump, called for even more federal presence around elections.
We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November.
Another lie that is facilitating bad policy by this administration is that we have lots of non-citizens who are voting. We don't have that. The data continually shows that.
Crane, who was Arapahoe County clerk from 2015 to 2018, also took exception to Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson's comments about vote counting. Johnson seemed to think that California results were fraudulent, where Republicans were in the lead on election night, but lost their lead as valid ballots were still counted after election night.
We had 3 House Republican candidates who were ahead on election day in the last election cycle. And every time a new tranche of ballots came in, they just magically whittled away until their leads were lost. It looks on its face to be fraudulent. Can I prove that? No.
It's not fraud. It's just the way the electorate works.
In 2018, Crane lost his clerk's race, even though he was in the lead on election night and beyond.
I was up, I think until 2 days after. And I knew with the first posting on election night, when I wasn't up by a certain amount, I knew I was going to lose. It was just a matter of us counting the votes that were legally cast to getting to the end result.
His message to Colorado's congressional delegation, particularly the 4 Republican members, show your spine.
Stand up for Colorado. That's what we sent you there to do. So go and be good, solid conservative Republicans and stand up for states' rights and for what we do here.
We've reached out to all members of the Colorado congressional delegation. We only heard back from one of the 4 Republicans. It was Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Our questions were, do you think that the election should be nationalized?
Yep.
We really didn't get an answer even from Boebert on the specific questions we had related to what you just saw.
In the Constitution, election administration is left to the states. However, the courts have said that Congress, not the president, Congress has some role here. Colorado's Democrats are obviously going to vote no. It would really be up to the Republicans who are in the majority to decide how much control they would cede to the president if he says, I want this, this, and this.
And as you heard from Matt Crane, stand up for Colorado is what his Republican message is to the Republicans in Congress.
Majority of his clerks in Colorado are Republicans.
Correct.
All right. Marshall Zellinger, thank you.